Have you ever stopped to consider that even after 40, there's still a strength within you that has never aged? I know. Perhaps you look in the mirror and see the marks of time, the burdens, the failures, the opportunities that seem to have slipped away. But what if I told you that all of this is just a reflection and not the truth of who you truly are? What you see in the mirror is just the body. What you feel, that's your self-image. And it's that, not your age, that defines what you can achieve from now on. At 40 years old, many people believe they know themselves completely, that their stories are written, and that their possibilities are limited to what they've already experienced. But the truth is that almost nobody truly understands who they are. You are not what others think, nor what the mirror reflects. You are what you believe yourself to be. And this belief, this inner image, shapes every result you have today. That's why some spend decades struggling, while others, without changing almost anything around them, manage to transform everything. It's not magic, it's perception. Have you ever noticed there's something within you that seems to hold you back, even when everything around says things are finally going to work out? Perhaps you've started projects with enthusiasm, tried to change habits, made promises of, this time it's different, and yet, something pulled you back to the same place, as if there were an invisible line tied to the past, keeping you within a boundary you can never cross. This line is your self-image. It's the invisible limit that determines how much you can grow, how much you can earn, how much you can love, and even how much happiness you allow yourself to feel. Think about how a thermostat regulates a room's temperature. If it's programmed for 22 degrees and the temperature drops to 19, the system reacts and turns on the heater. If the temperature rises too much, the system cools the room. All automatically. You have this same mechanism within your mind. Your self-image is your emotional, financial, and spiritual thermostat. It regulates your life without asking permission. And no matter how hard you try, if your inner thermostat is set to mediocre, you'll always return to the same point in one way or another. That's why some people earn more money only to lose it shortly after. That's why relationships seem to repeat themselves with different faces, but the same heartache. That's why, at 40, many look back and realize that life has changed a lot externally, but little internally. Because the external world is just a faithful mirror of your inner world. It's not the job, the government, or fate. It's the image you hold of yourself that decides everything. And the most curious thing is that this image is rarely created consciously. It was built little by little, without you even noticing. Every criticism, every disappointment, every comparison. Remember when they told you you weren't good enough? Or when someone made you believe that dreaming big was foolish? All of that got recorded. The child who heard those words never disappeared. They just grew up and learned to disguise it. But deep down, that child continues to doubt, continues to feel insufficient. I know this because I lived exactly like that. For many years, I believed I was worthless, that I didn't deserve anything grand. And life confirmed that belief in every detail. No matter how much I tried, it seemed success was always reserved for others. Until one day I realized it wasn't the world that needed to change. It was the way I saw myself. I treated myself as insignificant, and the universe simply responded in kind. If you are over 40, perhaps you've noticed something similar. Maybe you feel that youth is behind you, that opportunities have passed, that chances are gone. But that's just the old image trying to survive. Age isn't the problem. The problem is the mental pattern you feed. Time doesn't steal possibilities, but beliefs do. And as long as you continue to see yourself as limited, tired, or too late, your mind will keep you within that boundary, even if you say otherwise. Now, imagine for a moment that you could redefine this inner thermostat, that you could reprogram your mind to see yourself as capable, worthy, vibrant, deserving. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling different, with a quiet confidence that doesn't need applause to exist. Imagine looking in the mirror and for the first time, recognizing someone you truly admire. This isn't a distant dream. This is the natural result of a new mental image. When you change the way you see yourself, everything starts to align. Your body reacts, opportunities appear, people respond differently, because the energy you emit changes. And this is a universal law. The external world always reflects the internal. At 40, you don't need to reinvent yourself from scratch. You just need to remember who you truly are before you believed all the lies you were told. Ask yourself now, who would I be if I weren't afraid? What would I try if I truly believed I could? These questions are powerful because they force you to look inward, where true power has always resided. Nothing outside of you has more strength than the image you hold within. And when that image becomes clear, powerful, and positive, the impossible begins to seem natural. It's not too late, it's not the end of a road, it's just the beginning of a new perception. You don't need luck, you need vision. And when the vision changes, the entire world changes with it. There's an invisible mechanism operating within you at this exact moment. It is silent, constant, and shapes every outcome in your life, even those that seem like mere chance. This mechanism is your subconscious mind, and its command center is your self-image. You might not realize it, but everything you do, everything you attract, everything you repel, is controlled by this programming. It dictates what you believe is possible, what you accept, and even what you reject, even when you say you want something different. It's as if an autopilot is guiding you back to the same place, no matter how many times you try to change course. That's the reason why so many people at 40 feel they are trapped in a repeating cycle. They change jobs, change homes, change cities, but in the end, the feelings remain the same. They don't understand that the external world is just a projection of the internal world. What you see outside is just an extension of what you believe yourself to be inside. You cannot live in a way that contradicts what you believe about yourself. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, a plastic surgeon who transformed thousands of faces, discovered something fascinating. He observed that after performing incredible surgeries, many patients still felt unattractive. The new appearance didn't change the way they saw themselves internally, and that's what led him to study what he called self-image. He realized that when someone changes what they believe about themselves, their entire life rearranges. That's how the concept of psycho-cybernetics was born, the idea that each person is controlled by an internal mechanism that seeks to keep their reality aligned with their self-image. Think of an airplane on autopilot. When it goes off course, the system immediately corrects the path to bring it back to the programmed route. Your mind does the same thing. It measures any deviation between what you live and what you believe yourself to be, and adjusts your life to return to the original pattern. That's why so many people who try to get rich return to square one. It's not bad luck. It's the self-image mechanism bringing everything back to the known level. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to sabotage your own achievements? How many times have you started something new and promising and, without understanding how, ended up returning to old habits, old fears, old results? This happens because even while desiring the new, the subconscious mind is programmed for the old. It protects the old image, even if it costs you your happiness. It's like a guard who keeps the doors closed, believing they are protecting you from the unknown. I experienced this firsthand. For many years, I carried within me a silent conviction that I wasn't intelligent enough. I had dropped out of school early and saw myself as someone destined for simple, dead-end jobs. No matter what I tried, the result was always the same, until one day I realized that the only thing that needed to change wasn't the job nor the environment. It was the image I had of myself. I saw myself as a failure, and the universe merely obeyed me. When I began to see myself as capable, worthy, and intelligent, my entire life began to align with that new vision. And perhaps this is happening to you too. Perhaps you desire an abundant life, but deep down, you still see yourself as someone who always has bad luck. Perhaps you want to truly love, but unconsciously believe you aren't good enough to be loved. The mind doesn't distinguish between desire and belief. It merely manifests what it believes to be real. Recent neuroscience research shows that more than 90% of our decisions are made unconsciously. This means that, most of the time, it's not you making the decisions. It's your paradigm, the set of beliefs that controls your behavior. And this paradigm was built based on past experiences, voices, and opinions. What you heard about yourself as a child still echoes within you, shaping your choices today. But here's the most important point. This mechanism can be reprogrammed. Just as a pilot can redefine an airplane's route, you can redefine your own direction. It all begins when you decide to alter the way you see yourself. It's no use fighting the world or blaming circumstances. As long as your self-image is limited, your actions and results will also remain limited. This is why some people, by fundamentally shifting their self-perception, seem to multiply their achievements overnight. They didn't magically transform, they simply updated the internal image they held of themselves. Once your mind embraces a new truth about who you are, it tirelessly works to manifest that truth in reality. This is how genuine change happens from the inside out. At 40, many believe their window for reprogramming has closed, but the opposite is true. This is precisely the stage where you possess ample experience, maturity, and self-awareness to grasp that everything you've experienced thus far was merely a reflection of your old self-image. And armed with this insight, you can now begin to sculpt the reality you truly desire. Picture yourself 1 year from now living with unwavering confidence, free from fear, doubt, and self-sabotage. Imagine looking back and realizing it all began the moment you chose to redefine how you saw yourself. It's at that precise instant that the invisible mechanism stops controlling you and starts working in your favor. Because when your inner image transforms, your destiny has no choice but to follow suit. There's a silent cycle that devours even the noblest intentions. You start full of drive, create a plan, take action for a few days. And then, as if an invisible force pulls you back, everything reverts to how it was before. This isn't a moral failing, it's an automatic mechanism called habit, and it governs much of what you do without you even realizing it. Research indicates that nearly half of the actions we repeat daily occur in the same context, automatically. Habit researchers highlight that around 43% of our daily activities are repeated in the same settings, often while our minds are elsewhere. Consider what this implies for your finances, your relationships, your health. How many times have you declared, "This time I'm really going to do it," only to find yourself weeks later doing the exact same thing as before? How many salary goals have you jotted down in your notebook and never achieved? How many savings have you accumulated only to let them slip away on purchases that seemed necessary? The issue isn't your willpower in the moment. It's the underlying programming that directs your will most of the time. Daniel Kahneman aptly describes this part of us, a fast, automatic mode of thinking that makes decisions without conscious effort, the mind's autopilot. I always explain this using the thermostat analogy. Your self-image functions like an internal thermostat. If it's set to average, everything you do, even when you try to elevate yourself, gets corrected back to that comfort zone. This concept of paradigms and the cybernetic mechanism that measures deviations and corrects the course is evident in the work I study and utilize, as Dr. Maxwell Maltz demonstrated when discussing self-image. It's as if your mind is saying, "No matter what you do, I'll ensure you return to what I know as you." Now, I want you to visualize a common pattern. You decide to lose weight, cut out sweets for 2 weeks, drop a few pounds. Then you revert to old habits and gain it all back. Or perhaps you get a raise, buy new things, and by the end of the month your balance is back to what it was, because your financial self-image hasn't changed. This happens constantly. The good news is that science shows these circuits are plastic. The brain changes with deliberate repetition. Neuroplasticity studies demonstrate that consistent learning and practice alter brain structure. Repetition creates and strengthens new neural pathways. These aren't just empty words, there are brain scans showing real changes after repeated training. So how do you break free from this cycle? First, stop fighting only against the behavior. You must target the source, your identity. A habit change that doesn't alter your belief about who you are tends to be temporary. Albert Bandura has already shown that the belief in one's own capability, self-efficacy, determines persistence, goal selection, and how you handle setbacks. Work on your beliefs before expecting lasting results. I'll be practical, because theory without application is just idle talk. Here are simple, tested steps that anyone at 40+ can apply today to reprogram their thermostat. Observe for 7 days, keep a notepad, and for 1 week, write down every time you do something automatically, spending a certain amount, biting your nails, saying "I can't," accepting a situation at work. Note the time of day, the trigger, boredom, notifications, and the emotion present. Simply observing will reveal patterns you previously denied existed. Break the trigger. Identify a trigger that consistently leads to the same negative outcome. For instance, checking social media upon arriving home and spending money impulsively. Replace the automatic routine with another small action. Walking for 5 minutes, drinking water, opening a financial tracking app. Swapping one routine for another creates a new neural pathway. Reinforce with identity. Don't say, "I'm going to cut expenses." Instead say, "I am someone who manages my finances wisely." The phrase needs to be felt, not just recited. Create small proofs for your new identity. An automatic deposit that happens before the urge to spend arises, for example. Utilize visualization and mental rehearsal. Many champions mentally practice every detail before acting, which prepares the brain for the new path. Elite athletes like Michael Phelps employed systematic mental rehearsal to anticipate scenarios and maintain composure. You can use the same technique to rehearse financial reactions, difficult conversations, or new routines. Design real rewards. Old habits persist because at some point they provided some form of reward. Replace them with immediate and visible rewards when you follow the new path, a point system that unlocks something significant after 2 weeks of consistency. Allow me to share something that happened to me, something that perhaps evokes a feeling of embarrassment followed by relief when I recall it. For years, I played the diet game. I'd start strong, lose weight, feel like a winner for a short while, and then, without realizing it, my old patterns would resurface. I grew tired of trying until I discovered that dieting without a new self-image was like painting a house without changing its foundation. When I genuinely shifted how I saw myself, not just as someone trying to lose weight, but as someone who lives healthily by principle, the cycle that kept pulling me back began to break. The sensation was one of loss of the old identity, followed by serene joy. The transformation wasn't dramatic overnight, but it was profound and permanent. It both hurt and healed, two distinct emotions at different times. You can replicate this in any area: money, career, relationships. Start small, observe, substitute, reinforce your identity, and mentally rehearse. And to help you break free from this cycle right now, I propose a simple, practical challenge. 14 days of conscious disruption. Days 1 to 3, full record. Note triggers, emotions, actions. Days 4 to 7. Choose one trigger and swap the routine for a neutral action, walking, breathing, calling someone. Days 8 to 11. Strengthen the new action with real proof. Half of the money saved goes into an account you don't touch. Days 12 to 14. Practice daily visualization for 5 minutes, imagining yourself already living as your new identity, effortlessly reacting to old situations. If you follow this plan and genuinely feel your new identity, not just repeat words, you'll be leveraging the same powerful tool that great transformers use, deliberate repetition to rewire your brain and your life. Remember, what keeps you stuck isn't the world outside, it's the circuit within you. And circuits are rewritten through practice, directed emotion, and small daily victories. Start today. The life on the other side of the cycle is waiting. The true secret to lasting change isn't in momentary willpower, it's in shifting the identity your mind carries like a map. You can go on diets, attend courses, create goal lists, all of which help. But if your mind still refuses to accept who you aspire to be, everything reverts to its former state. Maxwell Maltz clearly articulated this. Changing the mirror doesn't change the image stored in your mind. I know this might sound harsh, because the first objection that arises is almost always the same. What if I'm too old? What if I lack education, capital, or time? These are the phrases your old internal map will repeat to keep you in place. But consider this. Who dictates what's possible, the calendar or your internal self-image? I've witnessed people start from scratch in their 50s, in their 60s, and transform everything. Age is merely a data point. Self-image is the factor that truly adds up. Before any technique, you need a radical truth. Your mind is literal. If it has recorded, "I am a loser with money," every opportunity will seem like pure luck and slip away. If it has recorded, "I am capable of managing wealth," even small decisions will begin to accumulate. This isn't mysticism, it's mental engineering. Your self-image guides your thoughts, choices, and ultimately the behavior that creates results. Let's get practical. First real step, create a proof file, an evidence journal. For 1 week, collect any small fact that confirms the new identity you desire. The time you resisted an impulse purchase, that instance you presented well in a meeting, that subtle compliment you received. Collecting proof conquers doubt, because little by little you build up a bank of "this has happened before" within yourself. Second step, language. Stop using phrases that diminish you. "I'll try," "I try, but more," "maybe I can." Replace them with declarations that assert your identity. "I manage my finances wisely." "I am someone who learns and grows." "I deserve prosperity." Say these phrases with emotion for 5 minutes every day. It's not just about repeating words, it's about training your body to accept this truth. Third step, immediate operational proof. If your fear is financial, automate an action that proves your new identity. Set up a small automatic transfer to a savings account on the day you get paid, before paying any bills. This physical act creates undeniable proof for your mind. This person saves automatically. Small, repeated proofs alter your internal thermostat. Fourth step, redesign your environment. You won't become a new person while surrounded by the same messages that confirm your old self. Remove visible temptations. Change the path you take. Join people who already embody the identity you desire. Your environment is an amplifier. Use it to your advantage. Fifth step, mental rehearsal with sensory detail. Don't just imagine a check in your account. Feel the texture of the checkbook paper. Hear the voice saying "congratulations." See the numbers on the screen. Feel the relief in your chest. Athletes and high achievers do this systematically. The brain doesn't precisely distinguish between a well-executed rehearsal and a real experience. It registers patterns and strengthens them. Now, a true story of mine that reinforces this idea of proof. As a child, I had a fixed image of myself as being bad at school. My report cards confirmed it, and everyone treated it as an unchangeable truth. My grades would go up with temporary effort, but would fall again because the image didn't change, and with it, the behavior. It was only when I changed my self-image and started acting like someone who learns that good grades stopped being an occasional fluke and became a habit. That initial feeling was shame. No one likes to admit vulnerability, followed by unexpected courage upon realizing I could rewrite my map. And regarding examples of public figures who illustrate this, I've seen incredible cases. For instance, Jim Carrey carried with him a check he had signed himself for a value that didn't yet exist in his account. He saw himself as worthy of that success, and years later, he received an equivalent amount for his work. It wasn't luck, it was congruence between his internal image and external results. When you live as if you already are, the universe and the people around you start treating you by that identity, and opportunities appear in ways that once seemed impossible. I know acute doubt arises. What if I fail? What if I look ridiculous? You will fail. You will feel ridiculous. This is part of the process. The difference is, the person who reprograms their self-image uses each failure as data, not as proof of inability. They ask, what do I need to adjust instead of see how weak I am? The new self-image provides resilience. To turn this into something practical, I propose a 90-day commitment, not just to make you feel better, but to rewrite your map. Days 1 through 7, inventory and proof archive. Write down 30 events, even small ones, that contradict your old label. Days 8 through 21, language and operational proofs. Choose an identity phrase and 3 daily proofs. Automatic transfer, savings record, 1 application or proposal submission per week. Days 22 through 45, daily sensory rehearsal, 10 minutes. Plus minimum public action. Make an important call. Send an email you've avoided for months. Publish a post aligned with your new identity. Days 46 through 75, accelerate the proofs, increase the consistency of operational actions, and start documenting results. Seek a mentor or a group that reflects your desired identity. Days 76 through 90, consolidation. Change your environment to support your new self, automatic accounts, routines, social circle, and plan the next 90 days with identity-based goals, not isolated desires. Throughout this process, resistance will appear. Anger, shame, fatigue, doubt. Each emotion serves as a clue to what still lives on the old map. Treat these emotions as data. Investigate, note, adjust. The final feeling after 90 days won't just be relief. It will be a powerful calm, the conviction that you don't depend on external forces to be consistent. If I could summarize it in one sentence, stop fighting with isolated actions. Transform the equation your mind uses to validate your life. Change the image, give it small, incontrovertible proofs, ensure repetition, redesign your environment, and ask for help from people who already live that way. When your identity changes, change stops being an effort and becomes a natural consequence. Do this work, and little by little, you won't just see results. You will feel daily like a different person. That is permanent transformation. If there's one thing I want you to take from this video, it's this. Everything you live, feel, and achieve is merely a reflection of the image you carry within yourself. When you change the way you see yourself, everything changes. Life doesn't reward you for the effort you put in, but for the frequency you emit. And that frequency originates from your self-image. It is your self-image that opens or closes the doors to your abundance. So the big key isn't to fight against what's external, but to build a new you from within. When this image transforms, the entire world begins to reorganize around you. And that is true power, the power to create your reality from consciousness. Now, if this understanding resonated with you, don't stop here. In the next video, we're going to climb one more rung on this ladder of wisdom. And I want to help you become 1% better than you are right now. Because that small difference, repeated every single day, changes everything. Thank you for being with me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.